Well, good morning, everyone. Yeah, good response. My wife and I are no strangers to this church. We were members of this church for a long, long time until the Lord got us a lot closer to where we live at, and our motor coach is parked a lot closer to where we're at. And we are missionaries with Make a Timothy Today. How many is this the first time you have ever heard of MTT? Several people? Okay, good. We have a ministry called Make a Timothy Today, a ministry that we started. And coming up in just a little over a month, it'll be 25 years since we started this ministry. And the Lord has been very, very good. He has taken us around the world about 13 different times. And we have been in over 22 different countries ministering to a number of missionaries, missionary pastors, and people, church planters all over the world. But one of the unique things about this ministry is our training aspect of it. And then also the fact that my wife and I have had well over 100 teams all over the world in the last almost 25 years. And a result of that, there are many church planters, pastors, missionaries, Christian educators, evangelists that are serving all over the world, and they use this ministry as a stepping stone to get them to the next point in their life. And taking the gospel is one of the most important things that we have to do as Christians. And Romans 10 talks about, "For whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. How then shall they call on him in whom they have not believed? And how shall they believe in whom they have not heard? And how shall they hear without a preacher? And how shall they preach except they be sent?" And then it says, "As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of them that preach the gospel of good tidings of peace." And our ministry has been a ministry of not only training young people to serve the Lord in the area of missions, but also to take the gospel around the world. And might I say that I like to step into the shadows because it's not about who we are, but it's about who He is and what He's capable of being able to do in our lives. And so this morning, what I'd like to do is I'm going to give you a little example just in the last year of what the Lord has done with MTT Ministries. My wife and I, we stay quite busy. If we're not taking mission teams around the world, we are out recruiting all over trying to find people to travel on these ministry teams. And we've had a number of people that have assisted us personally. I know Bruce Rampy has been with us, and Dave Brown has traveled with our ministry and has been in a lot of different locations. They've assisted us in what we've done. But we're going to take you back into 2021-22. Now, my wife and I was just in Mexico just a month ago. And we had a group down there, but unfortunately I have not had enough time, and we have a new girl that has just come into our office that traveled with us last summer, and she's come in to assist my wife in the areas of our book work and doing all the tax work and getting tax receipts out, so we've been pretty occupied on that. But we'll get you caught up here just within the last year. And so we had a team down to Mexico. See if this is going to work. There it is. And this was our team that we had last year. It's not the current team, but you can look and see how the group of young people that we had. We only had one young man on the team. Had a little older gentleman that was a missionary down in Mexico, and so he had traveled with us on that particular trip. He also was with us this past Christmas. And his name is Keith Reinheimer. He's a representative for a mission board, but he served in Mexico for about 8 years as a church planter. And so Keith came along down, and he's from Memphis, Tennessee, and he assisted us. If you noticed here on the right, we had Becky Vaughn, and probably a number of you probably know who Becky is. I always tell people, if you say you can't go to the mission fields and you want to give me excuses why you can't go, I always like to say, well, how about this? How about a girl that was burned over 95% of her body and is in pain? This happened back in the 70s. Still in pain after 40-some years, but yet she says, I'll go. And God used her on this mission team. And Becky always gets a lot of attention, no matter where she goes, because people want to know about what happened. And Becky's able to give her testimony about God's grace in her life. This is the missionary family that we work with. If you come to our banquet that we're going to be having here in the month of March, March the 4th, you'll see this man and his wife and family. This is the missionary family that is actually from Tennessee, but they went to college here in the Greenville area. He graduated from Tabernacle Baptist College. His wife graduated from Bob Jones. And so, but their family is ministering down there, and we're blessed to be able to say that we were able to work with him. And then we also had another family here, the Estep family, and they're ministering in Lyon. And and actually this is their 3 girls, 2 sons, and the son on the upper right-hand side there traveled with me last summer on our ministry team. You'll see some pictures of him. We have different churches, and this church has helped out as well in the past, where we've accumulated a whole lot of things that we took down to make little packets together so that we could take these packets out and go into the village area and be able to give a little gift to these kids that hardly ever get anything down there in Mexico. And so, but we had, I think it was like 2,000 pencils, 2,000 packs of crayons, et cetera, et cetera. And that doesn't seem like much to us, but to a little child in this village, to get something like that, and maybe a little candy in that bag, and some gospel tracts, what a joy it is to see their faces light up. And so, but here you can see one of our team members, Lisa's out there, and we're passing out gospel tracts there on the street. Here we are in the village area, and if you'll notice here on the right, you see they're getting Becky's wheelchair out, and of course, you can see the area is not the easiest traveled area, but we went in just to get the gospel into many of these different homes that were around there. Here you can see us out in one of the village areas. And there's Pastor Lacey there, and he's passing out these little bags and inviting kids to come over to the camp, which they started a number of years ago. And just being able to invite people and to get them to come out. Here you can see that they were doing some puppets. Now, we have a lot of this is done, and it's all translated into the national language. Now, I've been in a number of countries, Romania, I've been down in the Amazon River, things translated over into Portuguese. And over in Germany, every country we go to that speaks a different language, we have things converted over so that the young people that are doing things, now these puppets up here, you say, well, they look like nice puppets. Well, everybody thinks of English, but these puppets were speaking Spanish. And that was so they could communicate with the kids and being able to get the gospel message across. And here you can see young people teaching the young children that came in there verses by balloons and teaching them songs and doing Bible stories. And this was real important because these children come and they don't get a chance to hear stuff like this on a regular basis. So when you get people that come out of these villages and you get a chance to have a captivated audience for a little bit, what a joy that is. And then here we have, once again, some of our young people and teaching verses and songs. But it was just a blessing to be able to have these children come and to be able to participate and being able to give them the gospel. And once again, as I mentioned in Romans, giving them the gospel. And that's our responsibilities as Christians, to give the gospel. And here's the young people playing hand chimes. My wife, she's been doing chalk drawings for a long time, and we did a chalk drawing there at Bethlehem. And so just being able to get the gospel out in a variety of different mediums, but whether it's music, singing, giving testimonies, and it was a joy to have this young lady here was a student at Maranatha. She's a nursing student up at Maranatha that traveled with us. And a young man that was from Idaho that traveled with us as well. But there you can see, and it was so unique for Becky to be along on this trip, because Becky was able to do more than you could imagine. You say, well, what could she do? I mean, she seems like she's quite limited. Well, believe it or not, Becky actually held one of the puppets and did one of the puppets. She actually played hand chimes. And so there's things that people can get involved with. And of course, she always drew attention, and people would come up and ask her questions about what happened to you. And she would give her story of God's grace in her life. and had a chance to preach while we were down there. This young man, Brother Chico, it was so unique with him, Chewy, and his wife Liz. They have a ministry at a rehabilitation center there, guys that are hooked on drugs and all sorts of things. A number of these men that are standing here have strong connections with the cartel. And the unique ministry here that they have is a number of these men have trusted Christ as their Savior. We spent a New Year's there with them, and what a blessing it was to have a little white elephant, just a fun time with them. We also had a team that we took out last summer. Most teams go out for about 4 or 5 weeks. This team was out for right at about 8 weeks. And so we traveled all over the western part of the United States, and here you can see our team. And it was a joy to have them as we ministered in a variety of different places. We actually started up in West Virginia, in the mountains of West Virginia. Matter of fact, if any of you know who Brother Jack Samargo is, we actually ministered in his church that he was saved out of a long time ago, and it was a joy to do that. You can see the young people playing hand chimes, and they got involved in drama. The young lady on the right was the leading character of that. This is the girl that had actually just moved down from Bangor, Maine 2 weeks ago and has been working in our office helping my wife now. Of course, teaching a Bible story. Here's Ephesians chapter 6 about putting on the whole armor of God and using balloons as a medium for that. There's Paul and Bethany. And there they are doing a skit. We did several youth rallies where we're out there, so it's more than just going out and doing vacation Bible school. We did 6 vacation Bible schools last summer, and they were back to back. So we leave one church and go to another church and do a VBS, set everything up, and then tear everything down, go to another church. But any of you that have been involved in vacation Bible schools know how much effort it takes to make one of them work. And so Joyce and I have probably done 240 vacation Bible schools since we've been doing this ministry. And so it requires quite a bit of effort. There's Anna, and she's giving her testimony there. And of course, what are the young men? They learn how to do so many different things. They come in, they've never led singing or anything of that nature. But you see, 2 Timothy 2:2 says, "And the things thou hast heard of me amongst many witnesses, the same commit thou to faithful men who shall be able to teach others also." And that's the principle of make a Timothy today. Train them so that they can go out and likewise be able to do the same thing. And of course, here you can see our team as they're set up there trying to register some young people to come in. We do a little bit of ventriloquism there and make it a little bit of excitement. We have the puppets once again getting involved. And here you can see Cameron and teaching one of the Bible verses. And it's just so exciting to see these young people and to see them get out and to come in. Keep in mind, COVID kept a lot of people restrained in the last couple of 3 years. And so when things started to open up, they decided they wanted to come. They wanted to get involved. And so that we certainly did. And we got them all involved and just had a beautiful time being able to minister alongside with these children. This is actually up in West Virginia. This was at Jack's church that we were at, Fellowship Baptist in Fairmont. And they were busing the kids in. We were running 50 to 60 kids every day. And that's quite a spectacular thing, seeing that COVID did its punch. So anyway, this is the story of what we're supposed to be doing and getting out to the highways and hedges and compelling them to come in. My wife and I got back off of our summer team from Utah, and when we got back home, and by the way, thank you, Brother Dave back there. Bruce helped me get out to Wyoming and helped drive our motor coach out there. And then Brother Dave, I picked him up in Denver, and he helped us get back to Greenville. And so, but we had many hands assisted in getting this thing done. When Joyce and I got back home, we ended up traveling to Singapore. And the man on the right is Pastor John Kung. He graduated from Bob Jones back in the 80s. And actually his church, Mount Calvary Baptist Church, is one of our foreign supporting churches that we have that support MTT. We've had at least probably 6 or 8 teams to Singapore, and so there we are with him and Miss Bethany, his wife, and having a little time out together ourselves. Some of the church folk there that we ministered alongside of, and actually the young lady that is right here, my pointer doesn't work, I don't think.
They don't work on TVs.
It doesn't, does it? Okay, so this right here, this young lady, she traveled with me to Germany a few years ago. And but here you can see, we held 2 services. That building that houses the church, Mount Calvary Baptist Church, actually also, works things as far as having another group in there. And so they have a Filipino church that we ministered with, and that's Pastor Sherwin on the left there. Family that we know, Brother Vincent and his wife have been very gracious. Believe it or not, that is a motel. And if you want to spend the night in that luxury hotel there on the top, it's about $1,000 a night there. So, but it's a little beyond the MTT headquarters area there, if you know what I mean. And so, but this is the kind of food that we had while we were there. And we tell people all the time, they said, "What is that?" And so, believe it or not, that's a little fish. And they dry those things, and they sprinkle those over top of different foods that they have. And so, but, the missionary's philosophy is up to the lips, over the gums, look out stomach, the fish, here she comes. And so, but we've learned to eat all sorts of things. Doug, I don't know how you do with chopsticks, but I'm not real good at it. And but my wife decided she'd get that picture saying that she could actually say that, hey, he ate with chopsticks. The pastor on the left there, Pastor K.K. Chow, graduated from BJ. He works alongside with Pastor Joshua Wong. And any of you know who Pastor Wong is? This is his associate. And so we have worked very, very closely with him over the years. And so we went out to eat. One of the things, if you go to Singapore, one thing you will do, you will eat, whether you like it or not. And you will have all sorts of different things. And of course, some other people that we've ministered there alongside of and had a blessing to go out. This was Emmanuel Bible Fellowship that we had a chance to minister with those folks. And they were very, very kind to my wife and I while we were there. And so this is Pastor Christopher Churn. I'll probably be working with him this summer when we take our team over. And this is Pastor Jacob Lim, and he's with the Jesus Saves mission. If anybody's familiar with the Jesus Saves mission, it was a mission that Dr. Bob Jones Jr. actually assisted in helping Dr. Peter Ing get started a number of years ago. And they planted that church right in the middle of a red letter district over there. And but the Lord has used that ministry over the years. And so we made good friends there with Brother Jacob. And but we're asking people to pray about coming alongside with Singapore and with Canada. And we need help. Now, my Singapore team is almost filled. We have 10 people that are going on that trip right now. We have room for 2 more. We are also planning on going back up to Nova Scotia, Canada. I have a supporting church in that area. And so we'll be visiting several churches and ministering in Nova Scotia, at Forest Glen Bible Camp, and several other places in the province. But we're still trying to find some more people. We have, I think there's about 5 or 6 of us right now. It is a bus trip, and so Brother Dave, either you or Bruce might need a little assistance getting up there. But anyway, we're thankful that the Lord has given us the opportunity to work alongside with MTT and to see God use this. Now, many of you may have got some brochures here. If you haven't, we've got them in the back. But we have some brochures and a prayer letter, and we'd love for you to consider coming to our banquet that we're going to be having. It's going to be on March the 4th. It's the first Saturday of March. It's going to be held at Faith Baptist because we found out they have seating for about 940, I believe. And so, but we're going to have a big alumni choir. Dwayne Green is going to be heading all that up, and we're going to just have a wonderful time. A lot of alumni coming back home that's going to be available, that's going to come, and there'll be a lot of people that have attended these banquets over the years. There's no charge. It is supported by our supporting churches, and so we're glad to have that. But thank you for letting us come in here and to be able to take this particular time to spend some time and share a little bit with you about this.